Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Alex and I decided to make this first video for everyone who wants to have more clarity and control of the direction of their life and who just wants to maintain some structure in a little bit chaotic world. You see, I caught myself so many times going into different directions, jumping from one project to another and basically heading nowhere. And eventually I noticed that if I have this overall picture in my head that shows me where I am, where I'm going and what I need to do along the way, it brings a lot of clarity in my life and help me to keep focus on essential things rather than grabbing onto everything. So if you're like me, let's stick together and solve this problem. So today I want to talk about life management system. Well, nowadays there are millions of productivity systems, habit techniques, goal achieving methods, and so on. And every one of them have their own pros and cons, and some may work for one person and doesn't work for the other. So that's why I wanted to share the system that I use in my life and that helped me to navigate and manage my project and goals in the past years. There is nothing new that I'm going to say, it's just more structured and organized into a flow that anyone can use. It consists first of all of my own experience. From the young age I was pretty interested in organizing and planning and all this kind of stuff, so I needed a system that could help me to oversee everything that is going on in my life. And of course I took a lot from other people who shared their tips, and I watched a lot of workshops and interviews and so on. And before we start, I think it's very important to establish what exactly I mean by life management system. So first link in Google search brought me to Tony Robbins' website, and he defines life management as the ability to handle everything you need in order to live a productive, happy and fulfilling life. In my case, it consists of 7 important parts. Point A, where you are. Point B, where you want to be. Projects, timeline, tasks, calendar and notes, and maintenance. So let's start with the first part. Point A, where you are right now. Before you can get somewhere, you need to identify where you are right now. And the tool I use here is spheres of life. Well, I call them spheres. And what is it? Basically, these are areas that you can kind of divide your life into. So your physical and mental health, relationship, finance, spirituality, and so on. Those together define your life. That's why it's very important to acknowledge them and also identify which one of them is the most important right now that you should focus on. Personally, I like a lot the idea of balance. Of course, it's very hard to achieve balance in the life, and even if you achieve it, it might not stay like that for a long time. Since we live in a very dynamic and unpredictable world, there are so many variables that affect your life. What's important here is to have this attitude of striving towards balance. But again, balance is just an option, and for somebody it might be more important to be extremely well in one sphere or area in their life. That they are willing to sacrifice everything else for it. It is a quite risky path to go though, because there are many circumstances in this world that are outside of our control. Sometimes things can take an unexpected turn, and it could happen that the area that you have been working on and focusing all your energy and time into can just fall apart. Let's say you're an extremely successful entrepreneur and you have dedicated all your time into building a venture and growing your company into a remarkably successful business. But one day shifts in technology completely substitute your product with something new, so it is no longer in demand and you're out of business. So here it is this entrepreneur who doesn't have any good relationship in his life, has problem with health due to constant stress and lack of sleep. There is no meaning in his life because his whole world was circling around the company that he has worked so hard for. In this case, you don't have support to stand on. Well, coming back to our spheres of life, once you have identified them, you can use something that I call life assessment criteria. So you can check every criteria and write down how satisfied are you right now. When you're done with that, you understand your point A, where you currently are and what is important for you. Now let's move to the next step. Point B, where do you want to be? So right now you know where you stand on, and it's time to define your goals. One option to identify your goals is to understand what problems do you have. And by solving those problems, you could improve your quality of life. As an example, I can say that I have a quite low score on health, and it's really bothering me. So you see, my diet sucks, and I frequently have stomach pain. And I also don't really exercise. It is good to slow down for a minute here and reflect on it more. Why does my diet suck? Well, I don't cook balanced meals, and I always compensate it with unhealthy snacks and sweets. I also don't really like to spend much time on cooking because I'm a busy person. Alright, so we can potentially see the problem here. So how can we solve it? Well, it's time for experiment. First, you can try and research on balanced meals that are also easy to cook, or you can research on dining options around you that offer a healthy meal and where you could go every once in a while. I believe nowadays there are plenty of recipes that you can find online or buy a nutrition cooking course. So this is how you define your goal here. In this case, it is eat balanced meals for 1 month. So after you finish this experiment, you can reflect on how it affected your life assessment criteria and what are the next moves. The same you do for each criteria. Why don't I do sport regularly? It is hard to find motivation to stick to my training to the gym. Okay, maybe in this case, I should look for some team sport activities that will help me to make my exercises more interesting and motivating. Let's try to sign up for circuit training group classes instead of prolonging your membership in the gym. So the goal here would be to group sport exercises for 1 month. By experimenting and self-reflecting, you will know yourself better, and it will also help you to achieve your goals much faster. And once we know our goals, we can move to the next step. Alright guys, in the next video I will talk about projects, timeline, tasks, calendar and notes, and maintenance. So see you later.